Hey everybody, this is Blake here, and welcome to my review of the Hot Tub Time Machine 2. So, I liked the first movie alright. I thought it was pretty funny, and I think they actually did a pretty good job at fleshing out and developing its characters, which you don't see too often in these kinds of more modern day comedies. But at the same time, I wouldn't say it was exceptional. It wasn't like The Hangover or 21 Jump Street or Ted or, various comedies that I've really enjoyed over the past few years. Um, and I remember when it first came out, they were talking about doing a sequel, but then it never happened, and I presumed that the project was canceled. Uh, and then out of nowhere, like 2 weeks ago, I start seeing the TV spots, and I was like, "Oh shit! They actually made this, and I had never even heard of it." And then I realized, well, this probably wasn't going to be a very good sequel because you could already tell where they were cutting corners. Usually, when movies get a huge TV push in terms of what previews they show, but you don't see too many theatrical trailers, that's not a good sign. And they're obviously, or I presume they were, slashing the budget in parts because John Cusack wasn't present. Who did they replace him with? Adam McKay? I could be getting his name totally wrong. He's the guy from Piranha 3D. That's how I remember him. Um, so these were warning signs, but at the same time, I did like the premise, how they would be going, through to the future into different parts of the past. More on that later. But still, my expectations were really low. And then the reviews came in, and I was like, well, shit, obviously this is going to be a pretty crummy movie. And then I saw it, and honestly, I didn't mind it. The problem with the Hot Tub Time Machine 2 is that it follows this trend, which, now that I think about it, isn't really a trend, it's a trope, where the sequel has to rely completely on callbacks to its predecessor. So while watching Hot Tub Time Machine 2, you'll be thinking, oh, this is just like that part from the first movie, and that's why it's funny, apparently. And yeah, they definitely go farther, they push boundaries, but that doesn't necessarily make it funnier. For example, there was that part in the first film where they have a bet that leads to the bald dude Lou potentially having to suck the dick of Craig Robinson's character. And the way that went down was pretty amusing, primarily based on their reactions to the situation. Well, there's a scene in this film that's a lot like that, but it goes farther than just a potential blowjob, and it's almost down to the exact same reactions where he's like, "I love you, man, I love you, man," and he's like, "Don't say that. I don't want to make that kind of connection." And to me, that's just kind of lazy. And that's more or less this entire movie. Now, at the absolute least, the cast looks like it's having fun, and there are some good ideas and some good lines. I think I laughed enough, but it's not a good comedy. It's maybe 30% of the jokes worked on me. One thing that did piss me off is the trailers, or at least the TV spots, really, really mismarketed this movie. The plot is they go 10 years into the future. So it's kind of science fiction-y, but it's not, you'd think they'd go a lot crazier when you go into the future, but it's only 10 years, so it's not too much different, and the little sci-fi quirks that the film throws at us are nothing more than just that, quirks. Probably the best part of the film, or at least what I liked the most, that unfortunately they sort of underutilized, was they have a smart car. And even though I thought the idea of it being run on feelings was kind of stupid, I did like how it seemed to develop this grudge against Lou. I wish they would have done a lot more than with that, but that I thought was a pretty good idea. But in terms of them going to like the far past, where they show in the previews, oh, it's Patriot Lou. That's the very last scene of this movie. So apparently that's what Hot Tub Time Machine 3 is going to be about, um, but not Hot Tub Time Machine 2. And there's probably not going to be a third one because apparently this film bombed its opening night anyway. But that's really all I have to say. It's the same kind of sequel that Dumb and Dumber to 22 Jump Street, Hangover 2 and 3, you know, did, in that it's just constantly reminding us of the first film, and that's what drives the majority of the jokes, but it's just not as funny for it. Now, there are better examples. I'd say 22 Jump Street and Dumb and Dumber 2 were superior films to this. They made me laugh a lot more and a lot harder. But at least this is better than Hangover 2, and Hangover 3 doesn't mean much, but I'd say if you liked the first film, check this out on Netflix or just as a rental. Don't go to the theaters. Don't spend any major amount of money on this. Yeah, it's a perfect Netflix rental to me. If you did not like the first one or were just indifferent to it, then don't bother because it's the same movie, just regurgitated. So that is really all I have to say. Easy ass review. I did not do a written review of this, but I did do written reviews of Falcon Rising starring Michael J. White, The 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, which is an old 1980s kung fu movie, 14 Blades starring Donnie Yen, and Slash Dreams, which is a re-review of a fake slasher. And tomorrow I should post a new review, which will be of House, a Japanese movie from the 70s. If you're wondering about critiquing the critics, I'm not really sure. I've been having some health issues. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm trying to make these videos shorter, is because I'm having difficulty breathing, and so when I talk, especially when I'm projecting my voice, it just really exhausts me. And then I'm moving, the very, very beginning of this month. It should be the first. So we'll just have to see from there, but hopefully it's coming soon. I know I always say that, but thanks for your patience anyway. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and I shall see you guys later.